And how does somatic healing remedy this? Good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Okay, we're on 7 platforms all across the world, as it were. And so we want to discuss that this morning. First of all, people don't understand societal conditioning or societal hypnosis, okay, or being influenced by the things that you see, the things that you hear. Okay, your diet. Your diet is not just what you eat; it's everything. Okay, because your subconscious is responsible for your manifestation. Okay, it's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's nothing like that. It's your subconscious. Okay, and there's a process. There's a process to this manifestation. Okay, so when you follow the process and you go, oh, okay, so it's ask, believe, receive, right? And what I do is I break it down so that you can understand the step-by-step process. Okay, because yes, you ask, yes, you believe, and yes, you receive. But how does it work? Okay, first you get a thought, right? A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So you have to keep thinking the thought, or let's say focusing on what it is you want. Now, some people, okay, know what they don't want because they've been through too much of it, right? Too much worry, too much stress, too much, right? Too much, okay? And they want out, but they don't know how to get out. And sometimes when you're caught in that negativity, when you're caught in that negative whirlpool, or what I call downward spirals, okay, your subconscious keeps you there. Okay, there's no demon. Okay, it's not about a demon. Okay, it's about your subconscious. It's about your subconscious keeping you in repetition. So it's holding you back or pulling you down or keeping you down. Okay, because your subconscious will do that. Okay, because your subconscious will actually perform 95% of your life for you. Okay, 95% of your life is on wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, and when you start to realize this, you go, oh, I don't even have to think about most of my life. No, you don't. Okay, you're programmed. You wake up in the morning, right? Oops, it's time to brush my teeth, time to comb my hair, whatever, jump in the shower, whatever your process is. But you have memorized that process. You have committed it to your subconscious. So you don't have to learn to take a shower every day. Okay? You don't have to learn these things every day. But you go through your routine, right? So what happens if you want to, let's say, change your routine? Let's say, get better results. All you have to do is establish a better routine. That's it. Okay? But there's other things. Okay? So in the 4 pillars, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, the vocalization part is what we're going to discuss in the healing process today, somatic healing. Okay, and this is what my clients are going through over here on TikTok. Okay, because right now we have a special for TikTok. We were not offering it to our other platforms yet because my calendar is not that big. Okay, I have a small calendar. But my clients that are doing it over here, okay, are really getting good results. Like they are really coming out of themselves. And what does that mean, coming out of yourself? That means some people are prisoners in here. Okay? The prison is here. Who's guarding the prison? Who's the warden of the prison? You are. Okay? Over here. What the somatic healing does through your voice is it breaks through the barriers. Okay? It pulls you out so that you feel free to move. Fear paralyzes you. Okay? Fear holds you back. Why? Because you're afraid. Okay? And it's not the kind of afraid where, you're afraid of a bully. It's not that kind of fear. But you're afraid to go out and do things. I have a client on this site here that's experiencing that, and now she's doing stuff, and she said, well, I have this community center, like it's right down from my house, and I pass it for years. I've been passing it, and now I'm finally signing up for classes and things, right? And these are social things. I've pulled a lot of high school students out of anxiety. A lot of grandparents send their grandkids to me because the grandparents have money, right? The younger people don't have money these days. And the grandparents send their kids to their grandkids to me. And their grandkids change. And all of a sudden they get out of the prison. Their voice gets them out of the prison. Then they become more outgoing. Okay? So yes, it's a process of expression, but it also consists of energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. Okay? So energy, frequency, everything has a frequency. Okay? Nothing is static in the universe. Everything is moving. Everything has a frequency. Okay? Vibration, everything has a vibration. Now, you increase the vibration of the human being through their voice. You tune a human being the same way you tune an instrument, through their voice. Okay? And it works very quickly. Now, there's some, when I look up somatic healing, the definition of it, like online, it's not what we do. They say humming, they say singing, that's kind of passive. It's passive compared to our process. And what we do is we have people bring their voice out strong. It secretes oxytocin and endorphins. Your neurotransmitters begin firing oxytocin and endorphins. What does that do? It starts to calm the human being in here. See, a lot of people want to be outgoing. They want to do things. They secretly think or dream of doing these things. And they go, well, I'd like to do this, but I don't know how to start the process. When internally it's just a little fear. Okay, sometimes you want to start a project. Sometimes you want to, let's say, try horseback riding or try some kind of activity, some kind of sport maybe. But then something keeps holding you back. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Something keeps holding you back. It's just a little fear. Okay, but fear can hold you back from a lot of things. What if you're in a household and somebody in the household is doing things that you don't like? Somebody in the household is, kind of, let's say, cramping your style. I had this one grandmother that came to me, and she brought her grandson. And so, long story short, I ended up giving her some free sessions so that she could come on her own. And when she came on her own, I worked with her for about, I think, 5 or 6 months. And one day she shows up with this gift basket. And she goes, oh, thank you. I'm so grateful. And I go, okay, what happened? And she goes, well, I finally moved out of my daughter's house. And I said, oh, congratulations. She goes, yeah, now me and my girlfriends, and she was 65. She goes, me and my girlfriends can get together, we drink wine, we have fun, we have parties on the weekends now, we do what we want. And I said, wow, that's great. And she goes, yeah. And guess what? I left everything to my grandson, but when he's 50, so my daughter doesn't get any of it. And I was like, whoa, something must have been going really wrong, okay? But I don't ask people what's wrong. The difference between what I do and therapy is with what I do, you never have to say what's wrong. It'll just fix it. Somatic healing will just fix it. So this lady was probably being held hostage, okay? Not by her daughter, but by her inability to move, by her inability to take action to better her circumstances, by the lack of self-confidence, by the lack of self-esteem. Sure, her daughter could have contributed to that, okay? But here's the thing. If somebody is already suffering lack of self-esteem, if someone is already, in a low self-image of themselves, then holding someone hostage is very easy. convincing someone that, they're not all that, or that they're always wrong or always making mistakes. I mean, that's what narcissists do. And then people become hostages to that situation. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly. Conditioning happens slowly. Okay? And pretty soon you're led to believe this. You're led to believe that. And if these things are negative, and they're negative things about you, you start to think about it. Then what happens? Then it starts to be negative self-talk. Excuse me. Negative self-talk. Okay. Negative self-talk is the talk that we tell ourselves about ourselves. And it keeps going around and around in here. Okay? Because we keep thinking about it. We hear the reason why it's called negative self-talk. Okay, it's not that you're talking out loud. It's that you're hearing it in your voice in here. Okay, it's the stories that you tell yourself about yourself that are negative. Aloha Charlie from Riverside, California. Oh, Charlie from Riverside, California. Hi, Charlie. So the negative self-talk, the things that you start telling yourself, somebody else could have planted it there. It happened to me, and I had to break free of it. It happened to me when I was a kid. When I was 12 years old, my mom was cleaning house. And somewhere along the line, she told me, well, you know how clumsy you are, right? And that stuck in my head. And I started to believe that I was clumsy. Okay, and this lasted for years, decades, okay? It lasted for years. I wrote a chapter about it in my book. Okay, so I wrote a book. It's over here. I'll show it to you. Okay? And my book is called The Universal Law of Attraction in Singing. Okay? But the book is not about singing per se. Okay? It's about the human voice and how the human voice can heal you. And that's the somatic healing that I'm talking about today. Okay? And the book looks like this. This is the book. Okay? It's been selling on Amazon since 2016. Okay? And it sells pretty well in the spiritual community because it's a spiritual based book. Okay? Because the law of attraction, okay, or like attracts like, is just one law. Okay, but the fundamental law is the law of vibration. And in this book, I think it's chapter 5. Let me double check. I don't read my own book, so I lose track sometimes. Okay, and the book is 15 chapters long. So it's chapter 5, and it's called The Earth-Shattering Carelessness of Authority. Okay. The earth-shattering carelessness of authority is when you hear something about you, okay, that's negative, because it's careless, okay? They don't really know they're doing it. It just happens. But when people in authority say something and you believe it, right? Because they're in authority. Okay, a lot of people believe the things that I say because they see what I've done, and they see my track record, and they see my clients, and they yada yada yada. Okay, but so I'm very careful in how I say things to people. But the earth-shattering carelessness of authority was because this professor told one of his students when she was in her 20s that she ought to find something else to do other than singing, and she never sang. She shut down. That one comment shut her down because the guy was in authority. He was an authority figure. Okay, so going back to my mom, so she told me I was clumsy when I was 12. When I was 40 years old, I had this girlfriend. And I happened to say something, and I said, well, you know how clumsy I am. She goes, you're not clumsy. We were just having a conversation. I said, no, I'm clumsy. She goes, who told you that? And I had to stop and think. And then I was like, oh, my mom told me that. I had to think, right? And she goes, "You're not clumsy." So I go, "Oh, no, I'm clumsy. My mom knows me." You see? And you know where that came from, right? Because my mom used to tell me, right, that she was always right. Mother knows best, that kind of stuff, right? Parents do that. They just say that so that you listen to them, so that you pay attention to them, so that you follow their guidance. But when my girlfriend at 40 told me I wasn't clumsy, now I had to pay attention. So I paid attention. Okay, I paid attention for 2 weeks and I didn't see any sign of clumsiness. I didn't do anything clumsy for 2 weeks. And then I realized it, right? I'm not clumsy. Okay. But I had to observe. It had to be called to my attention. Okay? So how do you solve problems like that? Negative self-talk. Number one, call it to your attention. Figure out what it is. You have to know what it is first. Okay? Then you accept it and observe it. And then you verify it. If you can't verify it, it's not true. Okay? If somebody says you're a narcissist, for example, okay, observe yourself for a while. Did you have any feelings of empathy? If you did, you're not a narcissist. There you go. Okay, that's I'm just saying that because I just mentioned it. So, but that's how you do it. You have to figure it out. How do you figure these things out? Ask. You have to ask in the kingdom. Okay, I say this every day. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within, because your power is in here, not out there. Okay, the title at your job, I don't care what title it is. Okay, that's not power. Your power is in here. Okay, power is inside, not outside. Okay, so go in the kingdom and ask in the kingdom. How do you do that? Close your distractors. Okay, sit still like this and just ask. You can ask it out loud. You can ask it to yourself. I'm not a patient person, but did a meditation first 10 minutes. Yeah. To try then 30. Oh, guided. Okay. Kundalini. Yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of meditation. Those actions coming from someone who is supposed to love you hurts the most. Yeah, well, those actions, so, Charlie, it's not necessarily people intending to hurt you, okay? So people in authority sometimes, right? They're just talking. Friends, best friends, they're just talking. And they'll just say something. Okay? Now, if you leave it unchecked, or if you don't question it right then and there, like if somebody said I was clumsy and we're just talking, if I don't ask for clarity or clarification, okay? If I don't ask, oh, just what do you mean I'm clumsy? What makes you say that? You see? Now you're asking, okay? And this is the difference between confidence and somebody who will just hear it and then get upset by it, and then it'll become negative self-talk. Okay, but that's the difference. But when you question it right then and there, okay, so I say question everything, okay? But when somebody says something, like they say, oh, you're clumsy, what makes you say that? And then they'll tell you, okay? But a lot of people, they don't, Charlie, they don't really mean it, okay? Some people do, okay, but some people don't really mean it, but they'll just say something. And you'll let it go because you don't want to have any confrontation. Then what happens? Then you start thinking about it. Then you start observing yourself. And the only reason it starts to hurt is when you find out it's not true. Okay, a mature person, okay, like what I had to do when I was 40, I was mature, okay? I go, oh, my mom she just said stuff. She probably was having a bad day. Whatever. I didn't hold it against my mom, but some people do that, okay? And that's childish. Okay? If you're a mature person, you understand, you let it go. You rationalize, you let it go. Okay? If you're immature, then yeah, then you hold it against the person, right? Okay, that doesn't work for you. Remember what I told you about resentment? Okay? Resentment is like a small, tiny undercurrent of anger, okay, against someone else. Okay, thank you, thank you. Authoritarian. You had a relationship with your dad. Oh, so it was like my way or the highway. I get it. No, I get it. Thank you, Jay. I get it. You know, and some parents are like that because they're strict, and some parents are like that because they're malicious because it happened to them. I had a boss. I worked in a radio station group, the first one I worked in, and I had a boss that just treated me really, really bad, and I couldn't figure out what I did to him, you know? And he's on my Facebook today, till today. Okay. But I'm talking about how I felt at the time. I didn't know why he was treating me like this. He was treating me really, really bad, okay? It was kind of like a drill sergeant, you know, in the army kind of thing. Like it was like, but it was really I got discriminated against. I got, you know, just really unjustified things happened, okay? And I couldn't figure it out. And then one day, you know, it, oh, somebody sent a rose. Thank you, unknown. Oh, wait a minute, Charlie, did you send that, Charlie? Whoever sent that, thank you. And so I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't figure out why I was being discriminated against. I couldn't figure out what they had against me or what he had against me, that kind of thing. And I had to, you know, be mature about it. And this, I couldn't be mature about it at the time. At the time, I took it personally because it was happening to me in real time. And then one day, you know, I was a production director, and one day I was in the back closet cleaning out stuff. I was cleaning out the closet, and I saw this stack of papers, and right on the stack of papers was a letter, okay, to him, to my current boss, who was the current boss, when he was the sales manager from the radio station owner at the time. And I saw the way the radio station owner treated him. And it was exactly the way he was treating me. And I go, oh, I get it. He's treating me like this because now it's his turn. And some people do that. And when I saw that, I began to understand. Okay. I didn't forgive him at the time. I forgave him the day that I left. The day that I resigned, I got 42 lays, and I forgave everyone because the discrimination was a clique thing. And there was this huge, giant office clique. Okay. And I gave everyone a lay, and I forgave everyone in here, in real time, as I was giving them the lay. And I left. And I left all of that behind. Because before I made the decision to resign, I was sitting at my living room table in my house. And I was thinking to myself, well, you could do this to them. You know, you could do these things before you leave, you know, or you could forgive everybody and focus on the glass half full and proceed that way. And guess what happened? The long story short, okay? Oh, you're sending hearts. Thank you, Charlie. Oh, that wasn't you? Oh, you're sending hearts. Okay, thank you. Some individuals have a tongue that cuts like a knife and don't even know it. Yeah, they're careless. They don't think before they talk. Exactly. Thank you, user. So, Okay, so the long story short of what happened and how I got rewarded for the glass half full. So when I decided to let go, okay, and I mean let go of the job, let go of the people, let go of the resentment, let go of the anger, because I was angry, okay, because they did things to me over the course of years and it got worse and worse. And I had to forgive. I had to forgive them. And that lay that I gave everybody, okay, all 42 of them, the whole office staff, okay, and it cost a little bit of money to buy those lays. And they were nice lays, they were orchid lays. They weren't just shabby flowers, you know? There was good quality stuff. Because I do quality stuff. Okay? But I was doing a quality action. I was forgiving, okay? And I was expressing love. Or in Hawaii, we call it aloha. And I gave them the lays, okay? And I kissed them goodbye, okay? But I kissed them goodbye in here. I forgave them in here. I forgave them. The company hired me. And in 2 months, I sat in for the second largest radio station in Hawaii. And the rest, as they say, is history. Because my career went bam through the roof. Okay? Everything went through the roof. And I always, till today, I always think about what would have happened if you went with the glass half empty back there at the previous company. Okay? I don't think that would have happened in my life. But I bought everybody lay, 42 people, okay? I forgave all of them. And some of them didn't do anything to me. Some of them were just following the others, okay? But I forgave all of them, including my boss. And he's on my Facebook now. Okay, he's still on my Facebook. But you know what? I'm grateful to him. I'm still grateful to the guy. When I see him, I still say hello. I shake his hand. There's no animosity at all. Only love for that guy. You know why? Because when I started to expand my companies, when I started to build the second and third company and fourth company, okay, we have a family of service companies in Hawaii. Voicemaster Enterprises is the umbrella company. It's the parent company. Okay, I own 3 LLCs and 4 companies. Okay, but when you look at what it took to do that, okay, it was this guy that put me through boot camp, kind of, sorta, right? He was tough on me. And sometimes you have tough teachers. And this guy was hard on me, super hard on me, okay? But the number one thing that he always told me was, right, service your clients. Service your clients. So when we had the wedding and party business, okay, it was under Voicemaster Enterprises, but the wedding and party business was called the Kekuewa Jr Roadshow. You know how we made a lot of money? Other entertainers would pencil people in. Okay, pencil. You can erase a pencil. You can't erase one of these. Okay? We use these and we sign contracts with people. So everything is on the level. Everything is up and up. We never missed a party at all. But they would pencil people in. Here's how the scam works. It's kind of a scam. Kind of. Okay, but they pencil you in, and then when the date approaches, like let's say it's 3 or 4 weeks before or a month before the event. Okay, now these are one-time events. These are birthdays. These are weddings. These are anniversaries. Those kinds of things. If they get a better offer from someone else, guess what happens? And they try to shop it for a higher price. Guess what happens when that happens? They go back to the original person. They go, oh, sorry, you know what? We're gonna be off island, or we cannot do your event. And it was only pencil in. No money was exchanged. No deposit was done. Nothing, right? We signed contracts with people because we did business the business way. We signed agreements with people, contracts. Okay. And we took all of the money up front in advance. And we showed up for every single one of our parties for 15 years. We had that business for 15 years until 2019. It's on Facebook. If you ever want to see it, it's on Facebook. You can look it up. Okay. It's there. It's a thing. Okay. It's no longer active. And my last post was on 2019 where I thanked everybody. But my point is, we made a lot of money by servicing our clients. Okay? And when people called or when people hit up our website, right, we got right back to them. Why? Because my boss at the former radio station group that I worked for, that was so hard on me, right, always said, service your clients, service your clients, service your clients. So that's the first thing I did when I started my first company, my second company, my third company. Okay, the people I don't get right back to, okay, are girls. Okay, because girls see that as needy. But in a business situation, it's different, okay? In a business situation, so if you have a business, if you do business, if you're a part of a business, my advice, answer your texts, emails, phone calls right away. Okay? Don't sleep on them. Don't leave money on the table. That's what we call leaving money on the table. Okay, when somebody inquires, like say through a website, money's on the table right there. Don't leave money on the table. Contact them, get right back to them, and close the deal, exchange the money, sign the contract, whatever it is. But do that. We made so much money that way. And the other people that signed agreements with us were so comforted to know that we have everything in writing, we're paying for everything in advance, and these guys show up. Okay, and these things I got from that guy. So you can take people that are really, really hard on you. You can take really, really hard experiences you don't like, and turn them around from the glass half empty to the glass half full. Okay, this is all perception. Now, if I walked away from that radio station group going, man, you know, the guy's an a-hole, right? Like, that guy, he's full of crap. I would have been justified in that feeling. But because I forgave, I let myself off the hook. Forgiveness is for you. Okay? Forgiveness is for you. Thank you, user. Communication is key in all aspects. Yeah, it is. Sure. Absolutely. Okay? But it's that release of animosity, the release of resentment, the release of anger, the release of tension, stress, all the negative emotions, release of fear. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Grief, guilt, shame, anger, they're all rooted in fear. And I had to allow that to leave, okay, to leave me. And guess what? Now when I see the guy, I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's on my Facebook. You know, sometimes I see him. Sometimes I downtown, walking down the street, run into him. No animosity. Okay. Is he one of my favorite people? No. Do I appreciate him? Yeah, I do. I learned a lot, and what he taught me, even under those negative conditions, served my company only because I took them and changed it. Okay? Glass half empty, glass half full. And I made it work for me. Now, some people don't do that. Some people don't need to do that. Okay? Some people go through some negative experiences or a negative marriage or a negative relationship, and it doesn't do anything for them because they don't take those things to use it in the positive. Okay? And sometimes it doesn't apply. Sometimes it's a totally different situation. Okay? But sometimes you're in a negative marriage or in a negative relationship, negative business relationship, negative, whatever, like me, boss, subordinate kind of thing. And you take those negative things and you learn from it because those are lessons. Okay, those are life lessons. And if you learn from those things, you can take that negativity. Okay, this is the universal law of transmutation of energy. Okay, you can take that negative energy, those negative things, and you can transmute it. Okay, transmute means it can change form. Okay, you cannot extinguish energy, but you can change its form. Now you take that negative energy and you change it or transmute it into positive form. Now, instead of taking from you over here, what did it take from me? It took my time. Okay, it took my time, it took my energy, right? I was angry, I was upset, I was frustrated. Okay, it took my time and energy. And it was negative energy over here, over there, back there. And I took all of that and I transmuted the energy, okay, into something positive. And when I started my first company, I used that energy, the positive energy, okay, the lessons I learned, the things I learned. And I could hear his voice in the back of my head. Service your clients, right? There were a whole bunch of things, right? There's a whole bunch, but that was the one that stuck out the most. And so customer service became the first thing in my company. So if you ever write to me on the website, okay, I will get back to you right away. Emails, it takes me a couple of days because I get a lot of emails every day. Okay. I teach in Europe, I teach in the United States, or what we call the upper 48, and I teach in Hawaii online every day. Every day except Tuesday. But those people get customer service from me. Those people get service right away. Okay? And like user said, communication is key. Hey, that's Marlene. Good morning, Marlene. Good morning. Hola. Hola. That's my beautiful Latina right there. She's my client. She's in California. Okay. I was just saying I have clients in the United States. I have clients in Europe. Okay. I have clients in Hawaii. So they get top-notch service from me because of that guy. Because of the guy that put me through hell. Okay? And when I saw that letter that was from his boss and his boss put him through hell, I was just like, well, now it's his turn. I get it. I get it. That's what he knows. See? And that happens sometimes. Okay? That happens in family situations. Your parents are hard on you, then you have kids, now you're hard on your kids. Okay? You need to break the generational spells. Okay? There's spells. So we're talking about societal hypnosis and somatic healing today, right? Okay, but those things are important. Those things are important to know. So I went over those things. Okay, societal hypnosis. What is it? Okay, it's your subconscious. Your subconscious keeps you in societal hypnosis. Things that you believe to be true. Because you hear them, you see them, you smell them, you taste them, okay? Your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. Okay, you watch the television, pretty soon you believe the television. Okay, you scroll through social media, pretty soon you believe social media. A belief is a thought you keep thinking, whatever you keep thinking about, whatever occupies your mind, rent-free, as they say. You will start to believe. Okay, you will start to form an opinion about it. And then what? It becomes a belief in your subconscious. Then what happens? It becomes a program in your subconscious, meaning it starts to repeat. That's why we talk about the subconscious tree. The roots of the tree are your core beliefs, things you believe to be true about the world. Okay? It's those beliefs that form your paradigm or the trunk of the tree. Okay, that's the paradigm. So your paradigm is the way you see the world, your worldview, your attitude, your outlook on life. Okay, that affects your actions, the way you act. It will dictate your actions. It will say, okay, because you believe these things, we have formed this attitude, and now we're going to do these actions based upon the attitude that was formed upon the beliefs. And then what? And then those actions get you results. And the definition of insanity is performing the same actions while asking for different results or praying for different results or expecting different results without changing your subconscious, without changing the roots of the tree. How do you change the roots? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay? It's made me tons of money. It started all my companies. Everything. Let me show you. I still do it. Okay? I still do it every day. Sometimes I don't do it every day. Sometimes I miss a day or miss a couple days. These are affirmations. This is not journaling. Okay? That's an old one. Here, this is the new one. I just started the new one. Only that much. Okay, I just started the new one. But if you're not controlling your mind, if you're not telling your mind what to do, if you're not giving it instructions, somebody else will. If you don't control your mind, somebody else will. If you don't control your mind will attack you. Okay, you ever been like that? You're sitting alone and all of a sudden, like you could be sitting at a park or wherever, library, whatever, in your car, in the parking lot, and then you get a thought, right? And it's a negative one. What happens? Pretty soon you get all the negative what ifs. Why does that happen? Because your amygdala, okay, starts to go into protection mode because it's a negative thought. Your amygdala goes, hey, what if this? What if that? What if this? What if? And all those what ifs will be rooted in fear. There'll be fearful thoughts. So the monster starts getting bigger and bigger in your head. And pretty soon everything is way worse than it started, right? Okay, so when you get a negative thought, just say stop. You lost your job last month, kindly, yes, write an affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I have found my new job. Thank you. There you go. That will work. Okay? So the things that you believe about cultural narratives, the things you believe about personal identity, okay, about success, about race, about gender, about everything, money, everything, are rooted in your subconscious. They're in your subconscious as programs. Do you repeat the same affirmation every day or change depending on what? Okay, so you should do the first affirmation for 66 days. It takes 66 days. You can Google that. You can check it out. Okay, so it takes 66 days. So what I have my clients do is I have them do the first one for 66 days at least. And I construct the affirmations for them to encompass everything that they're working on. Okay, so you should write an affirmation that includes everything that you're working on at the moment. Okay, I don't know. Let me see if I have an idea here, if I can give you an idea. I'm trying to look for the last one I wrote for someone. Let's see. Yeah, let me see if I can punch this up for you guys. But yeah, so try to do that. If you sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't. Okay, here. I'll give you this affirmation, but I'm not gonna tell you whose it is. Okay. I'm healthy in my body, grounded and emotionally wise in my mind, stable in my life, and aligned with steady wealth and abundance in all that I do. Okay? So you see how that affirmation covers a whole bunch of stuff? If you write that for 66 days, all of those things will begin to happen because it's conditioning your mind. Now, you've been conditioned by society. That's the societal hypnosis. You've been conditioned by the TV ads, the radio commercials, okay, the advertising. There's certain things that you believe about certain food products. Okay, some people like Burger King over McDonald's. Why? Well, because it's flame broiled, or because there's a conspiracy with McDonald's, or whatever it is, okay? Whatever you believe. But advertising has shaped your thinking. There are things that you believe about real estate. Okay, there's information that you have accumulated about real estate agents, about attorneys. You have opinions about all of these things. This is the societal hypnosis. Okay, it's almost like a hypnotist does at a party, almost. Why 66? Vibration, or no, it's your subconscious. It's your thought process. It takes 66 days. So up until age 7, you're not even fully a part of consciousness. You're just taking in information. You're being programmed into what to believe till age 7. You cannot make up your own mind until at least age 7. You're just taking in information. So it's important what happened to you up until the time you were 7 years old. Okay. So if you have children that are below the age of 7, please be kind to them. Please be nice to them. Please be understanding and patient with them. Okay, they need to grow up in the most friendly, loving environment possible. Okay, love is important. I'm not talking about Valentine's Day love. Okay, I'm talking about the love you were born with before the negativity happened, before the negative emotions kicked in. Okay? People remain hypnotized because of repetition. Repetition creates familiarity. Okay? People love the rut that they're in, right? Okay? Humans are creatures of habit, all of that, right? It's subconscious. Habit. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Okay? Because it's our comfort zone. We're in our comfort zone if the same things happen all the time. When things happen that are outside of our comfort zone, we get all freaked out. Whoa, what's that? What's that? What happened? Whoa, how come how come he's like that? He's usually always the other way, right? That kind of thing. Okay? It's subconscious. 95% of your life is subconscious. You're under this hypnosis, but your voice work pulls you out. The vocalization exercise pulls you out. It sets you free because the prison is here. Okay? Your subconscious equates familiarity with safety. If something is the same all the time, it's safe. Okay? It tells you in your mind, you're safe. Why? Because everything's predictable. Okay? When things are unpredictable, that's when you have the WTF moments. Okay? Even if the belief is limiting, even if you have limiting beliefs, money doesn't grow on trees, whatever. Like, only the rich people, only they get rich. I had to change that in my life, or I wouldn't have anything today. I wouldn't have my companies. I wouldn't be able to do business like I do. I wouldn't have any clients. I wouldn't know the people I know. I wouldn't associate with people that I associate with, because my thinking would be limited. Now, when your thinking is limited, guess what your life looks like? It looks limited. Now, that being said, some things you think of in abundance, and some things you think of in limitation. Because you're a human being, because you're sophisticated like that. You're intelligent like that. Yes, I wouldn't be free. You're absolutely right. My companies were created for freedom. My companies weren't weren't meant to bring in billions of dollars. I could care less about billions of dollars. I have enough. Okay, there's two ways of wealth. Okay, the first way is you go by the physical world, right? I always say that. And then there's the spiritual world in here. Okay, and when you need something, God brings it. When you need something, it shows up. Everything comes to us from God through others. And when you need it, it shows up. When you need it, it's done. Sometimes you gotta wait. Sometimes I wait 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, okay, well, come on, God. What, well, I say, Father God, right? I'm like, come on, Father God, what's going on? And then it comes, and I'm like, oh, well, it's about time, right? But I say, thank you. Okay, I'm grateful. I didn't learn these things until 2007. I didn't learn why. Okay, grateful because it changes your chemistry in your brain. Gratitude changes the chemistry in your brain. Kindness, we were talking about kindness yesterday. It's energetic alignment between the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. When you have that in alignment, your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, the superconscious is God. When you have all three working synergistically together in alignment, things flow. Okay. Do I work hard? No, I never work hard. I attract everything for years and years and years, since 2007. Before that, did I struggle? Yeah, I struggled. Why? Because the struggle was here. Okay. People, you hear these people, they go, oh, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. The struggle is here. The struggle is the result of the fruits of the tree. You shall know them by their fruits, okay? The fruits are the actions. Okay, pay attention to people's actions. Whenever you see someone who says the struggle is real, okay, look at what they do. Okay? The struggle is the result of a series of bad decisions. Bad decisions. And sometimes we just want to cut to the chase, right? Sometimes we just want to, okay, never mind, we'll just do that, right? And then see what happens. Yeah, I don't care what happens, we'll just do that, right? And then you end up with a bad result. And then what happens? Well, then you're upset with who? You're upset with you. Why? Because you're the one that made the result. You know the decision, and you got the result, and you know that you're responsible for the result. You know that you're responsible for the decision. You may not know how to change it, but you know it's you. Why is this? Because human beings can observe themselves. So then you turn on this one. You turn on the kingdom. You attack the kingdom. God lives in here, and now you're attacking this one. You see? Okay? Now you're upset with this. Now you don't feel good about this. Now your self-esteem is down. Now your self-image is low. Now you're thinking less of yourself. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's putting other people first. It's helping others. When you start to attack what God made as the result of decisions that you made in the physical world with physical things that came from someone else's in here, you have problems. You have big problems. Why? Because you're focused on the man-made entities, okay? On these systems of things that you put your trust in, and now it has become mammon. You cannot serve God and mammon. It's only when you trust something else other than what God made that it becomes mammon. Okay, God made this. God made you. Okay, God made your dog. God made your cat. We all share consciousness. But when you're putting your faith in man-made things, something that someone else invented, and you put your faith in that, okay? because you've been distracted into it, because that has become your reality, because that's what you're focused on. Now you take your belief away from here, you take your belief away from God, and you go, no, it's the college, it's the corporation, it's the job, it's the degree, it's the position, it's the title. That's what's responsible for my life. That brings the goodness. That brings the money. It's the bank. It's the financial system. It's the investments. It's the stock market. So you start worshiping money instead of what's really important. You ever see wealthy people walk around and people treat them so well because they're wealthy? It's ridiculous. They're just people. But they know what to do. They may not say anything, but they've gone through that process. And then after a while, money can accrue and accumulate on its own. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay. So yeah, you can believe in here and then accumulate all kinds of riches and all kinds of material stuff. And then in here can transfer to there. And then in here can kind of close up and like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't have faith in this anymore. I know a lot of very wealthy people that are insecure as, AF. Okay? Mm-hmm. But anyway, today, I hope you've learned a little bit about, you know, how to keep your belief in here, how to believe in yourself in here, because God lives in here, how to keep your faith in here, and keep your faith in God rather than in man or man-made inventions or systems, okay? Because you can be in the system and not of the system, and you can get everything that you desire by focusing in here, okay? So, yes, manifestation is subconscious. Okay, so affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're here every day at 7 a.m. We'll see you guys. And aloha from Hawaii as we say goodbye to our